Tonight on NewsWatch, human trafficking here at home. Hear the raw truth behind the $7 billion business.
Plus, stopping in the cheese state. Rick Santorum fights to stay in the race ahead of a crucial primary day.
And the tale of two presidents, comparing Obama and Reagan and their quest to kickstart the struggling U.S. economy. All this and more tonight on NewsWatch. More than 100,000 boys and girls are victims of human trafficking each year, and that's just in the United States. Good evening, I'm Lee Webb.
And I'm Wendy Griffith. Around the world, the number of victims grows to a shocking 27 million, many of those sold into sex slavery. It's an epidemic that's beginning to get more attention here at home, and tonight you'll meet one of those victims and hear her story. But first, Heather Sell starts our coverage with a look at the growing anti-trafficking movement.
Regent University's Center for Global Justice organized this conference to bring together both government and nonprofit leaders, all working to combat trafficking. It's an effort that will hopefully bring greater collaboration and greater multiplication of resources.
There is an obvious surge of awareness and attention.
Brad Riley founded a social media nonprofit to move others to take action and end child exploitation. As part of his presentation, he brought what he calls trafficking artifacts, like these little girls' sandals found in a brothel. Riley and others at the conference say the anti-trafficking movement is still very young and still trying to understand the scope of this international tragedy.
We haven't figured out how big the problem is, and we're starting to catch a glimpse of it, and everybody's reacting, which is great, but it will just take some time for all of that to flesh out.
We're seeing it in the massage parlors, we're seeing it in the strip clubs, we're seeing it in the cantinas.
FBI special agent and conference presenter Dave Rogers says trafficking cases here in the U.S. are on the rise.
Our cases are definitely increasing, but I can't speak to whether or not that's because it's happening more or that's because we just recognize it more.
2/3 of the FBI's trafficking cases right now focus on sex trafficking and 1/3 on labor trafficking. And Rogers says the sellers themselves are becoming more sophisticated.
More organized criminal enterprises are getting involved in human trafficking. They're recognizing the revenues that can be made from this.
Stephen Wagner is the former director of the Human Trafficking Program at the Department of Health and Human Services. He says an upswing in kids being abused at home makes for a ready market.
What traffickers say to kids is, come with me, I'll love you, I'll take care of you. And for a kid who has been traumatized at home, that's extremely attractive.
What's needed next is better services for victims and better laws at the state level. Conference attendees also looked at ways to combat pornography, which fuels the demand for this tragic crime. Heather Sell, CBN News.
Melissa Woodward is a survivor of the sex slave trade. She now speaks out about her experience to help inform others. She recently talked with Heather Sells about what Americans can do to help end human trafficking.
Melissa, thanks so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me, Heather.
You were sold into trafficking by a family member. You experienced that world. Looking back, how do you think the people who were selling you were able to hide from the law?
Well, first of all, the laws are not enforced to protect our children, especially back in the years whenever this was happening with me. So laws really have to be changed. But another thing about this is often the men are hiding while the child prostitutes, which are victims, are in plain sight. So they're the first ones that are seen. They are the ones that are arrested and not the men often.
Okay. And you experienced, this horrible world that many trafficking victims experience. And right now, the focus in a lot of the anti-trafficking movement is helping the victims. How can we as a society begin to help these victims who have experienced such a horrific life?
Wow, there is so many things that everybody could do, and everybody can do something. Right now, nationally, there's 120 beds for, like your estimates say, 100,000 to 300,000 victims. And so we need to have services provided for these children. We need to have laws changed. So one thing that people can do is just reach out to, organizations that are working with this, and begin to also report this to the National Trafficking Hotline if you suspect something going on.
And you yourself are starting an anti-trafficking organization for the sake of one. Tell us about that and what you're trying to do.
Yes, for the sake of one's mission is to prevent, heal, and rescue these children, and both boys and girls. And what we're doing is we're opening a safe home in Texas that over the course of building up some time, it'll be actually open this year. And then we're hoping to have 280 beds to be able to provide services from schooling to counseling to life skills to medical care for these children.
Now, I know there's a lot of parents who are concerned about how can I protect my child, hearing about such experiences. What do you advise parents to do?
Right. Well, they should be concerned. The two things I recommend is make sure that you're looking at your child's history on the internet. Make sure that you're monitoring Facebook, their emails, and that they're not talking to this. Also, I'm the spokeswoman for the National Children's Identification Program. It's the largest identification program in the country. Because what happens is with 40 seconds in America, a child is taken. So what a parent can do is have all the information that the law enforcement agency would need to start a case immediately. And if you go on to forthesakeofone.org, you can order these kits there.
Okay. And what do you advise just the public in general to do to be a lookout for victims?
To be able to look out for victims, there's a lot of signs, Heather, from school, having inconsistencies in stories, having marks that they can't explain, bruises and burns, also tattoos that show, some kind of identification mark, and also speaking about older boyfriends.
All right, Melissa Woodward with For the Sake of One, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Most trafficking experts believe pornography helps to fuel demand. It's one more reason why anti-porn activists are fired up about a recent incident on a Delta flight. The executive director of Morality in Media says she asked the passenger in front of her to shut down the hardcore porn on his iPad screen. He refused, and when she asked a flight attendant for help, they refused. Delta Airlines has since told the organization it does not allow passengers to view porn. Morality in Media President Patrick Truman says he'd like to see all airlines develop policies on pornography.
If a man has pornographic material in his office in a business, he can be sued for sexual harassment. Yet some airlines allow it on their planes or have no policy against it.
Morality in Media posted a YouTube video to explain what happened. It's gone viral with close to 200,000 hits. Others are attacking it for opposing a public display of pornography.
20 years ago, you wouldn't have seen that, but the porn generation, growing up on the internet, a steady stream of pornography, daily consumption, they're converts to pornography.
Morality in Media will soon release a listing of the major airlines that have anti-pornography policies.
A gunman killed at least 5 people today at a small Christian university in Oakland, California. It happened at Oikos University. Several other people were wounded. Police say a man walked into a classroom and opened fire. Police now have one person in custody. The shooter is described as an Asian man in his 40s. His motives unclear. Turning now to the race for the White House. More Republicans are rallying behind GOP frontrunner Mitt Romney. Each primary victory puts him closer to the magic number of delegates needed to win. Wisconsin is the next hurdle, and the momentum is swinging clearly in Romney's favor. Charlene Israel reports.
The Republican presidential candidates are doing some last-minute campaigning in Wisconsin today, but the latest polls put Romney as the clear frontrunner.
We're looking like we're going to win this thing on Tuesday, but I got to have you guys get out and vote.
Voters in Wisconsin go to the polls on Tuesday. The state's representative, Paul Ryan, announced his support for Romney. He urged voters to do the same.
I think conservatives should coalesce around the Romney campaign and move on to the general election.
Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell stopped short of endorsing Romney, but he recognized the chances are overwhelming he will be the nominee.
It seems to me that we're in the final phases of wrapping up this nomination, and most of the members of the Senate Republican Conference are either supporting him or they have the view that I do, that it's time to turn our attention to the fall campaign and begin to make the case against the President of the United States.
Newt Gingrich's campaign could come to an end in Wisconsin. He acknowledged the fact that Romney could be the nominee.
I think that he clearly has a chance to do it, and I think if he does succeed in doing it, obviously Clifton will support him, and I'm sure Rick Santorum will support him.
Rick Santorum refuses to concede. He's hoping for a big win in his home state of Pennsylvania later this month. Santorum would need to win 74% of the remaining delegates to become the nominee.
So many of the delegates who are coming to the convention are unbound delegates. So this idea that Governor Romney has all of these delegates in this huge lead, we just, the numbers just don't bear that out.
Both Santorum and Romney spoke to Christian voters at the Faith and Freedom Coalition. Romney says it's time America gets back on track.
The president says he wants to transform America. I don't want to transform America. I want to restore to America the principles that made us the hope of the earth, and together we're going to do that.
Charlene Israel, CBN News.
Our chief political correspondent David Brody is in Wisconsin covering the primaries. He sat down with Wisconsin Governor Scott Walker to discuss the race. Walker says this long primary process will make the eventual nominee stronger for the general election.
It is bizarre to have all these candidates for president starting out each of their talks talking about me in this recall election. Unlike some who say they didn't like the primary going on this long, I don't mind that. I've had a primary of my own in the past, and as a candidate, you don't care for it much, but in the end, it usually makes you stronger. The more time that, whether it's Mitt Romney or Rick Santorum or anybody else, the more time the candidate is actually spending honing their message by actually talking with voters, feeling voters, looking them in the eye, telling them what they're going to do, I think it makes them a better candidate. And I think in the end, as tough as it is, it will ultimately be to their benefit. As long as they stay focused, I think the only downside to an ongoing primary battle is if the national media allows the candidates to get distracted off of issues that really aren't relevant to the vast majority of voters out there.
To hear more of our interview with Governor Walker and get the latest scoop on what's happening on the campaign trail, check out David's blog, The Brody File. It's on CBNNews.com. Coming up, what would Reagan do? Hear why Republicans say Reaganomics is the answer to kickstart our sluggish economy.
Hi, Anthony Sullivan here for the Sticky Buddy, the sticky roller that has the power of glue without the goo. Dog hair, cat hair, spouse hair, mouse hair, cookie crumbs, kitty litter, birdseed or lint. It doesn't matter. Then just rinse it, dry it, and it's sticky all over again. It's perfect for quick cleanups and easily removes pet hair, dust, and lint from upholstery and pillows. Use it on all types of fabrics, even silk and suede. And it doesn't leave a sticky residue. Sticky Buddy has little rubber fingers that reach deep into your carpet. Use short strokes to gather the hair, then just flip it, roll it, and watch the hair stick to it. Then when it's full and dirty, just rinse it, dry it, and it stays sticky. Clothes, couches, comforters or car seats, keep your interior looking new, and say goodbye to crumbs on the car seat. Then just wash it, dry it, and it's super sticky and strong all over again, saving you money. For litter boxes, it's a must. Cats and dogs will love you even more if you use it as a pet brush. The Sticky Buddy normally sells for $20. It comes with a cover, so it stays nice and clean and has a lifetime guarantee. So stop spending money on tape rollers and putting cash in the trash. Call now and you'll also get the detail size. Take it with you. It'll be there when you need it. Put it in your purse, pocket, desk drawer, or glove box. It even has a corner detailer with the same rubber fingers that gets into nooks and crannies. Same washability, same reusability, same sticky guarantee. The detail size normally sells for $10 by itself. But be one of the first to call, and you'll get both for $10. But order right now, and you can double the value. That's 2 sets of Sticky Buddies, the ones with the little rubber fingers, for $10. So call or click now.
Call 1-800-558-7521 and pick up your Sticky Buddy. But hurry, call now. We're giving away a special offer on a second set of Sticky Buddies with all of today's orders. So call 1-800-558-7521 and find out about free shipping. That's 1-800-558-7521. Call now.
More signs tonight that the economy is on the right track. The stock market just had its best quarter in 14 years with the Dow up 8%. On the job front, we have just seen the best 3-month hiring stretch in 2 years, and the Commerce Department reports consumer spending saw its largest increase in 7 months. You know, liberals say President Obama deserves the credit for this improving economy.
But conservatives say Ronald Reagan did a far better job of getting America back on track. Jennifer Wishon has this look at a tale of two presidents.
This year, the economy is adding some 245,000 jobs a month. That's the best job growth in 2 years. And even though their incomes haven't gone up, Americans are spending more. That's the good news. But if you compare this recovery to others since World War II, many analysts ask, what's taking so long? Some say it's President Obama's economic policies.
If you compare his recovery to previous recoveries, it's a huge failure. And in fact, on the metrics, it's the worst economic recovery since the Great Depression.
The Great Recession officially ended in June of 2009, but nearly 3 years later, unemployment remains over 8%, which translates to at least 13 million Americans who don't have jobs. And that's not including those who are underemployed and would like to work more hours. The last recession that came close to the magnitude of this one started in 1981. President Ronald Reagan addressed it by cutting taxes, reducing government regulations, and federal spending. After 10 quarters of recovery under Reagan, the economy was exploding at a sizzling annual rate of 6%. But under President Obama, the economy only grew 2.4% during the same amount of time. That's not only far below the Reagan recovery, it's only about half the average growth rate of 4.6% after a recession. Many conservatives argue it's no surprise that the recovery is far weaker than Reagan's.
Barack Obama has followed the opposite of every one of those principles, and so he's getting exactly the opposite of the result that Reagan did. Instead of reducing regulations, it's been a regulatory tsunami. He's got Obamacare, endless regulations, also enormous increases in future taxes and spending. He's got Dodd-Frank, which massively increased regulations on financial community. He has the EPA running wild.
But other economists say it's hard to compare the recession Obama faced to any others because it was so deep. And Elizabeth Jacobs says underlying economic problems that have been brewing for decades are making it more difficult for America to recover. She says since 1979, the income growth of America's top 10% earners has outpaced the nation's bottom 90%.
There's pretty good evidence suggesting that financial crises come out of high levels of inequality.
And it's one reason why Jacobs says it will take longer for the nation to recover, especially when you consider 70% of economic activity is driven by consumer spending.
And this was part of, again, what caused the financial crisis is that their ability to consume and kind of keep up with the top was based on this credit bubble. And they don't have access to that credit anymore, but earnings and incomes haven't kept up. And so how exactly we're going to kind of get ourselves out of a vicious cycle, we need a new solution.
Feelings of inequality have sparked the Occupy Wall Street movement, and calls for wealthy Americans to pay their fair share are part of President Obama's regular stump speech. But Ferrara says higher taxes on upper-income Americans will only smother the fragile recovery.
It's the poor, it's working people, it's the middle class who are hurt the most by the high tax rates. The higher income people will figure out ways to get around them, or they can afford to pay them. But they're not going to invest their money in the economy when their incentives are hampered like that. They're not going to start new businesses, not going to expand businesses, they're not going to create jobs.
President Obama's supporters say his policies are helping bring the economy back. But conservatives say those policies are actually hurting the recovery. And they say if you want proof, just look at the Reagan recovery 30 years ago. Jennifer Wishon, CBN News, Washington.
Are you ready to start making money? Doing the things you're probably already doing online anyway? PeopleStream.com is an exciting new social network where you can earn cash and prizes just by visiting your favorite social networks, connecting with friends, using our patent-pending Instaportal technology to visit your favorite websites, or playing games such as The Prize Wheel, The Better Half, and hundreds of others. It's the fun, easy way to make money online.
It's free to join and it makes you ching. PeopleStream.com.
John Mapes is 42, mortgage, married, 2 great kids. He wants to protect his family with a $500,000 term life insurance policy. What do you think it'll cost him? $100 a month? 60? 40? Actually, none of the above. John can get a $500,000 policy from a highly rated insurer for under $25 a month. His secret? SelectQuote. SelectQuote is impartial. They'll search the pick of insurers like these to give you a choice of your best prices. SelectQuote has great savings on term life for women, too. John's wife, Carrie, can get a $500,000 policy for under $16 a month. SelectQuote has helped make term life insurance affordable for hundreds of thousands of people since 1985. How about you? Just call this number or visit SelectQuote.com.
Are you ready to start making money? Doing the things you're probably already doing online anyway? PeopleString.com is an exciting new social network where you can earn cash and prizes just by visiting your favorite social networks, connecting with friends, using our patent-pending Instant Portal technology to visit your favorite websites, or playing games such as The Prize Wheel, The Better Half, and hundreds of others. It's the fun, easy way to make money online.
It's free to join and it makes you ching. PeopleString.com.
Well, just one look was all it took for Jessica Paulraj to fall in love, and when she told her husband about it, he understood completely.
Yeah, in fact, both of them fell for the same person, an abandoned baby destined to die. Lori Johnson brings us this incomparable love story of baby Adam in tonight's Focus Reports.
Raja and Jessica Paulraj see beauty in baby Adam that many others can't.
This is little Adam getting his feeding. We like watching his hands and what he decides to do with his hands. Hey, buddy.
Adam's story begins with his birth at a Christian missionary hospital in India. The baby boy came into the world with no eyelids, no nose, no hands, legs fused together, and other deformities. But his brain, heart, and lungs were just fine. Still, his family decided to either abandon or kill him.
The uncle came and he said, we don't want to take the baby home. And then the mother-in-law was like, we don't want to take the baby. And it's a kind of like a shame for us to take him back. There is a sense of the relatives, they don't want to take the baby to home, because I got a call from this village and where actually the baby belongs to. And they're telling that if they bring the baby back home, we may poison him.
During this time, Raj, the hospital administrator, and Jessica, a nurse, fell in love with Adam and decided to adopt him.
When Adam came along, it was just so unexpected for me, but there was this sense from the very beginning that the Lord was just like this is like the child I have called for you to care for.
Jessica knew that care meant getting Adam the medical attention he needed.
She sent me a personal email that first week and just said, Brooke, I don't know if you would know anyone in the United States that could give us some advice about where to go or what to do. And so I sent that email on to Dr. Van Alst, who's a craniofacial surgeon at UNC where I work. That he said that he wanted to provide total care for Adam, and he thought that we would be able to bring him here to UNC to do that.
Right away, a team of doctors at the University of North Carolina's Children's Hospital mobilized to develop a plan for baby Adam's care.
If Adam had stayed in the northeast of India, he would not be alive today. There's no question about that.
Adam would need several surgeries, some right away, others down the road. Even though the doctors are donating their time, baby Adam's hospital bill is still very high. But when people heard his story, they came to his rescue. David Anderson organized a fundraiser that collected an astounding $100,000 in just the first week.
We quickly established an online giving page. And normally that would take several days, and we were told that really was urgent, that really had to happen right away because the surgery was so urgent. And so we got it up in a matter of hours.
Those first surgeries targeted Adam's immediate needs, so he could close his eyes and his mouth for the very first time.
It was probably the most challenging cleft lip that I've ever done. At some point, he's going to need nasal reconstruction, and that's going to be a huge challenge. And so one aspect of caring for him has been a lot of prayer. I've prayed, my family has prayed, Jessica and Raja have prayed.
Adam will eventually have the use of prosthetic hands and legs.
Is he going to be perfect? Yes, he's already perfect. Is he going to be normal by the world's standards? Never.
But normal or not, baby Adam has already brought a community together.
Nurses, cleaning people, doctors, other families. In fact, a family today that came to visit me for a very different reason, taking care of their daughter, they said, "How is Adam doing?"
Meanwhile, Raj and Jessica delight in the everyday joys of parenthood. Lori Johnson, CBN News.
Are you ready to start making money? Doing the things you're probably already doing online anyway? PeopleString.com is an exciting new social network where you can earn cash and prizes just by visiting your favorite social networks, connecting with friends, using our patent-pending Instant Portal technology to visit your favorite websites, or playing games such as The Prize Wheel, The Better Half, and hundreds of others. It's the fun, easy way to make money online.
It's free to join and it makes you ching. PeopleString.com.
John Mapes is 42, mortgage, married, 2 great kids. He wants to protect his family with a $500,000 term life insurance policy. What do you think it'll cost him? $100 a month? 60? 40? Actually, none of the above. John can get a $500,000 policy from a highly rated insurer for under $25 a month. His secret? SelectQuote. SelectQuote is impartial. They'll search the pick of insurers like these to give you a choice of your best prices. SelectQuote has great savings on term life for women, too. John's wife, Carrie, can get a $500,000 policy for under $16 a month. SelectQuote has helped make term life insurance affordable for hundreds of thousands of people since 1985. How about you? Just call this number or visit SelectQuote.com.
Are you ready to start making money? Doing the things you're probably already doing online anyway? PeopleString.com is an exciting new social network where you can earn cash and prizes just by visiting your favorite social networks, connecting with friends, using our patent-pending Instant Portal technology to visit your favorite websites, or playing games such as The Prize Wheel, The Better Half, and hundreds of others. It's the fun, easy way to make money online.
It's free to join and it makes you ching. PeopleString.com.
Well, finally tonight, a tornado survivor is helping to rebuild an Indiana town ravaged by last month's storm.
Yeah, Carrie Jackson is putting her money where her mouth is. The Indianapolis attorney wrote a $28,000 personal check to the Henryville First Baptist Church. Carrie says she wants to help the town where she was spared and help the residents who provided her peace during the storm. Last month, a tornado forced her to pull off the road and take shelter in the town's laundromat.
I got to go home that night to my home, and I knew that the people that I had been with that day and spent that day with, those people who comforted me and helped me, I knew they were still going through loss and pain, and I just felt compelled to help.
Jackson raised $13,000 of her own money. The rest was donated by her law firm.
Americans are giving people, especially American Christians,
Absolutely.
in a tough economy. What a great thing to see there.
And also with baby Adam, people gave to that cause. It's wonderful. It's a lot of good folks out there.
Good night.
Good night.